and welcome to our first Show Choir Canada channel interview. My name is Peter Aylin, and for over 40 years I've worked on both sides of the Atlantic as a music director in theatre. And for the past 3 years I've been involved with the Show Choir Canada behind the scenes. Today, I'll be your host. I've just come back from music directing a show in Tweed, Ontario, which is just north of Belleville. And a quick shout out to Tweed & Company, Tim Porter and Emily Mewett, and the hard work they put into running a theatre company in rural Ontario. They do amazing work, produce wonderful shows, and if you're ever in that area, please do go and check them out at the Marble Arts Centre in Tweed and the Village Playhouse in Bancroft, which is a little bit further up the road. You will have a wonderful experience. Anyways, while I was there, I had the honour and the pleasure of working with a relatively young director, Dean Deffett, who I found out during the rehearsal period had performed with Wexford Collegiate School of the Arts in Toronto in the 2013 Show Choir Canada competition. He was also featured in the 2013 TVO documentary Unsung Behind the Glee by Mossanen. Dean is here with me today. He's going to tell you a bit more about himself, what he's been doing, his experience with Show Choir Canada, and a lot more. Hello, Dean, and welcome.
Hi, Peter. Thanks for having me.
How did you get introduced to Show Choir, and what made you think of joining?
Yeah, I am very fortunate to have fantastic parents who were always patrons of the arts and supporters of the arts, and who really saw the value in the arts and community. And so my parents at a very early age were taking me to the theater. I remember seeing like the original Broadway tour of Hairspray and King Lear in the same week at 7 years old. Much too young for King Lear, but I was greatly affected by it. And my parents saw that. And fortunately, they had the foresight to see that this was something I was really passionate about and would want to pursue. Not necessarily professionally at the time, but in terms of like my life and the things that brought me joy and my growth as a human being. So they put me in music lessons. I studied voice and musical theory through the Royal Conservatory of Music. And I did a lot of community theater. I took acting, and I really came out of my shell and flourished in that.
So how much performing experience had you actually had before you joined the first Show Choir?
Yeah, I had about a decade of experience at that point. I was doing community theater, and I was fortunate to be in a really great acting school, which I'm not even sure exists anymore. It's been about 20 years since then. But yeah, I had plenty of experience performing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. So I guess you didn't have any anxieties about joining a show choir?
No, it was second nature to me at that point. It was something I knew I was doing.
Great. So how did you feel when you first joined? I guess it was Wexford, the first show choir that you were involved in?
Yeah, I was. I think I was in grade 10 at Wexford. I had just joined Wexford, a performing arts high school in Toronto, a year before. And in the music theater program, I really found my footing there as an artist and as a young person, slowly becoming an adult. And when they started their show choir, that next year when I was in grade 10, I knew I was joining it. Right. I knew there was nothing else for me to do but be a part of that community.
Interesting. So how did it feel to perform in such a big audience in the competition?
Yeah, it was certainly the biggest audience I had performed in front of at that point in my life. And it was nerve-wracking and terrifying, but above all, it was incredibly exciting. Especially, I'm going to probably come back to teamwork a lot, right. Which the mantra of like Wexford, when I was there at least, was very much about team and community. And that was just the lifeblood of that program and of that community and of our show choir.
So what was the atmosphere like during the competition?
Especially our first year, I was fortunate enough to be a part of it 3 years in a row.
Okay.
While I was there, that first year, I think we were excited and incredibly terrified. I think for most of it, Wexford has a pretty large auditorium that seats quite a few people, but nothing compared to the theater we were performing in.
Right.
Yeah.
Can you share your most vivid memory from competing in the show choir?
Yeah, the very first year we competed, we actually won. And we were really the underdogs that year. My school at that time had no money whatsoever.
So which year was this? This wasn't 2013? Or?
It would have been our first year, which I want to say is maybe 2010 or 11.
Oh, okay.
Was the first time we competed, and we were not expecting to win, especially when we saw some of the other schools' performances that were much more technically specific and very clean and very rehearsed, whereas we were a little ragtag, but it was all about heart and community, and I think we brought something new that hadn't been seen before.
Right.
So when we won, we were incredibly shocked, and that I remember that feeling most of all, that when just disbelief.
So the first time you competed, were you one of the leads, or did you start off in the chorus, or how did it all start?
I was completely in the ensemble at that point, and I was actually what's like known professionally as a pit singer, but because we had so many students in the program, we couldn't fit everyone on stage for every single number. So a number of us it was about 2 people per part,
Wow.
like soprano, alto, tenor, bass. And I was one of the tenors who was like a pit singer or a backstage singer for the majority of it. And then for the finale, they crammed me in on stage.
So how big was the choir at that point?
I think that first year we were about 150.
Whoa.
Yeah, and I don't know if I don't think we all went
Right.
with show choir, but our choir, because we were also doing other, not necessarily gigs, but other performances at Scarborough Town Centre. We did performances in a lot of community fundraising for the school. So there was 150 of us in total. I think that first year about 60 of us went.
Right. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So what made the Show Choir Canada different from other performances that you've done?
You know, Show Choir Canada, and specifically Wexford, I can only speak for Wexford's approach, of course, but it was all about team. And
Right.
the whole program outside of Show Choir Canada, the music theatre program, was always about teamwork and being a team player, and that is really a testament to Anne Merriam, who was running the program at the time. She's no longer running the program, she's retired now. But she really instilled in us the value of community and teamwork, and that no one person is bigger than the piece of art we're creating together. And that's something that I've tried to continue on in my career as a leader now. I've tried to bring that element and the energy and the belief system that teamwork and team building and team playing is of the utmost importance in arts.
And what was she like to work under?
She was absolutely fantastic.
Really?
I really was such a gift for me. I was going through
Amazing.
some difficult things. I had just been at a school where I was bullied relentlessly for being an artist and for wanting to work and pursue the arts. And going to Wexford, I was really fortunate that Anne saw something in me as a young artist who had potential and who just needed a bit more support. And she gave me that support, and I'm
awesome.
eternally grateful to her for that.
Awesome. That's awesome. So as a team, how did you prepare for the competition?
Yeah, we had relentless and non-stop rehearsals. Every single day we were rehearsing for.
Every day?
Every single day we were rehearsing, including on weekends sometimes. We would be in on Saturdays every once in a while.
So was this during school time, or was this outside of school time, or
Yeah.
both? Or?
It was both. We had, because it's it is a theater school or an arts high school, and the theater program is such a major part of the arts culture at Wexford. We had 2 periods a day dedicated to theater arts, which were usually split up between music and then acting. But for the couple weeks leading up to Show Choir Canada, both of those periods were dedicated to working on music and cleaning the vocals and the technique and building choreo. So we were rehearsing twice a day in periods, and sometimes after school and sometimes on Saturdays.
Wow. So how did you personally prepare for the competition?
I prepared with one thing I love about Wexford is that they treat you like professionals. So there's no coddling necessarily. It's very much like you come in and you know your material and you're ready to work. So I was home every single night reviewing my music, reviewing the choreo, the little bits of choreo I was in, and drinking lots of water.
So what was your favorite song or number to perform?
So that year specifically, that first year, we did a really cool mashup by Bob Johnston, who's a brilliant musician. He did a mashup of Lady Marmalade and Nothing Like a Dame from
Okay.
South Pacific, which sounds crazy, and it is. But I mean, he's such a brilliant musician that he was able to build such an incredible piece that we kind of performed a number of mashups that year, but that one specifically, really, to this day, I still sing some of the parts of that
Really?
when I'm cleaning my house.
That's excellent. I think I was going to ask you about that a little later on. Were there any challenges in your group facing with the rehearsals or the competition day itself?
Of course. I mean, any large group of artists, you're going to have divas, and I'm one myself. I'm willing to say that. I'll look dead in the camera and say that. I am a diva myself, and I mean, any large group of people with like 150 students who are all stars and who are all brilliant and beautiful artists, you'll have people all fighting for the solo. There's only so many solos that can go around. But so of course those were challenges, but again, the methodology and the idea of teamwork is really paramount, and those things are smoothed over eventually.
So how would you describe the other members of the show choir?
Oh my gosh, it was such a...
Fondly? Or?
Oh, for sure. I would definitely describe them fondly. I was so grateful and so fortunate to work with such a large group of people from all kinds of backgrounds, in terms of race, sexuality, economic status. It's just a huge melting pot, that school and that program specifically.
Good.
Yeah.
So how did show choir help strengthen your relationships with your teammates?
Oh man, I think we were in such a disbelief, especially that first year that we won, that because also like the teachers were like, don't expect to win because we probably won't. It's our first year where we've never done this before. So we all kind of went in being like, whatever, we're going to go and have fun and we're going to show them what we're about and do our best. And that moment when we did win, it was the most beautiful bonding experience because none of us could believe it.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing. So what role did teamwork play in your choir's success?
Oh my God, I think that was our success. Even the years when we didn't win, I think we were so successful in being a community and supporting one another. So I think teamwork was our success.
Was there anybody in your group that inspired or motivated you? Or?
Of course, I think always seeing your fellow classmates and your fellow team members succeed, especially the ones who are used to taking a back seat, because it's frightening and it's vulnerable to get up and sing in front of a bunch of people. Classmates that hadn't necessarily stepped up and presented themselves in that way before, watching them suddenly come alive and flourish and be celebrated by their community for that was, I don't know, it was just magical.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah. So how did you celebrate your winnings on that first year? Okay,
well, this is funny. We celebrated in the moment it happened, and then we got on the bus and celebrated, and then the next day we started rehearsal for our school musical. So,
oh, wow.
So it was a brief celebration, but I think the energy lingered throughout the rest of that year.
How were you received by the rest of the school? As heroes, or?
No, God, no. The rest of the school was so over us by that point. I mean, not even from show choir, just musical theater people are annoying. I'm a musical theater person, I can say that. We're annoying. So the school didn't care at all. Of course, they were like, whatever.
Yeah. That's funny. Was there a funny or unforgettable moment that you remember with the choir in the competition?
Yeah, of course. I mean, there's always funny moments where, this is the thing, and when I work now, I always say this to actors, the audience doesn't know what the show is supposed to be, so if you screw up, it's fine, as long as you find your way out of it. So as an artist inside of the piece, inside of the machine, you see all of your friends screwing up their choreo or like singing the wrong lyrics. So those are always funny moments for me, thinking about my friends singing the wrong lyrics or something. Or like one of my friends was a soloist that year and she completely forgot the lyrics and made up something and it worked. So, but those are the funny moments for me.
That's excellent. So what did participating in Show Choir Canada teach you about hard work?
Oh my gosh. It really showed me that you can do anything if you set your mind to it. We went in there not expecting to win. We didn't even think we would be placing at all. We were like, we're going to go sing and then we're all going to go and get like nachos or something after. And with all the work that we did put in and the passion and the way our community came together and to really work on this and make this happen, it really taught me that hard work pays off.
Well, yeah. So I was going to ask if the competition boosted your confidence in any way, but I assume it did quite a bit? Or?
Of course, of course. I mean, not necessarily me. That's such a lie. It did boost my confidence too, actually. Jeez. But I think like as a community, because that art school at the time had no funding at all. And so we were really just like whatever, like we were like putting on our jeans and t-shirts, like we didn't look like a unified front. And I think that just like really boosted our confidence to be like, oh wait, maybe we have something to offer here.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So how did it shape your views on the performing arts?
That especially, again, teamwork, like that really showed me the power of teamwork. That, that program was always built around the idea of like being a team and creating as a community. But that year especially really ingrained in me that like teamwork is like what makes the arts fly.
So what lessons from your show choir experience have stayed with you?
Yeah, I use a lot of the techniques I learned in those rehearsal halls as a director now. Again, like I sound like a broken record talking about team, but I think shows and any piece of art, especially theater is like the people's art form, and it is a community-based art form. I mean, you can see a one-man show, but there's still 20 people backstage making it happen.
Yeah.
So I try to bring to every room, especially the show we just worked on, which is a holiday pantomime. It's the closer knit we are as a community and as a team, the stronger the show is, and the more the show will work. And then when those mistakes happen or those inevitable screw ups happen, your teammates are there to save you and help you and push you through to the other side.
Cool. So did the competition influence your future goals?
I think that the competition really solidified and confirmed for me that I was on the right path, and that it allowed me to have the confidence to pursue this professionally.
Right.
Yeah.
Good. So tell us about life after Wexford College, your career.
Yeah.
What's going on? What do you do?
Yeah, I'm one of the fortunate few who have pursued theater and have been able to make a living doing it, which in this country is like unheard of, unfortunately. Hopefully the future is bright for our arts communities. But after Wexford, I studied and received my bachelor's in music theater performance through Sheridan College. And then I almost immediately started working as an actor in Canada. And eventually I moved over to Germany for a couple of years to work with a cruise company there, AIDA, as a singer. I quickly learned that I did not like working on a cruise ship. But I was fortunate enough to have the opportunity to build a couple new shows with the company for their fleets of ships, which really allowed me to pursue directing and, again, give me the confidence to lead a room of artists. And while I was there, I studied at the Schlott Acting School, and I did the Brechtian Directors Workshop. I worked with the Hamburg Shakespeare Company. And then after the pandemic, when I was home, I began working as a director primarily. Cool. And it really, those show choir days are, the way Anne Merriam specifically led the classroom and led those rehearsal rooms are the way that is the same way that I lead my rehearsal rooms now, with compassion and drive. And I'm not here to coddle necessarily. I mean, sometimes with some actors you have to, of course, and that's fine. That's part of the job. I'm happy to do it. I know how vulnerable acting is.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it really is like team first, and the piece of art you're creating is like what we're all here to do. And those show choir days really taught me the value of like pushing through and persevering and building something together as a team or as a community.
Nice. So did your show choir experience inspire your current career?
I think I don't know if it inspired it necessarily, because I was dead set on working in the theater from a very young age. But it definitely confirmed for me that I was in the right spot and I was doing the right thing with my life.
So how do you look back on your time in show choir now? I
am so grateful, especially, this is going to get serious, especially in the world today where arts funding is like being stripped. And a lot of arts schools and arts programs are closing or are currently under review. I'm so grateful to have been a young person at the time when those things still had some support. I mean, not a ton, but there was still some support for the arts and for young artists and arts education. So I'm very grateful for that, and it breaks my heart today seeing what's happening in our country with the arts and for young artists and the opportunities that young artists are losing.
Do you still keep in touch with any of your teammates or directors or anything?
Of course. I have my closest friends are all people that I did show choir with.
Right.
I have 5 or 6 very close friends from high school that were all part of our show choir, and I am still in touch with a number of my teachers from then. I have a couple teachers who, like, when I'm working on a show and I'm having a trouble trying to break through a scene, I'm fortunate enough that I'm able to call and discuss it with and every once in a while, if it's close to Toronto, one of them can pop in and watch the scene and be like, I think you're missing this.
So that's awesome. So what advice would you give your younger self, looking back on those days?
Yeah. Man, theater school is like one of the hardest things people can do. Mm-hmm. It is designed to really break you down in a lot of ways, which is a problem. Like, that's not a good thing, and that's not how we support young artists, or artists of any age, quite frankly. But if I'm looking back from where I am now, I would say keep going. Allow everything that's going to happen to you as an artist to happen to you, because it's going to build you into the person that you are now. Mm-hmm. And I can look back and see all the mistakes I've made, or I can look back and see all the victories that I had. And just know that those things don't define me as a person, but they do build me up and help me become the artist that I am so grateful to be now. Awesome.
You know what? We're going to take a short break, and we will be back very shortly. Welcome back, everybody. I'm back here with Dean talking about Show Choir Canada and life and the arts and a whole lot more. Going back to the competition, Dean, did the competing push you out of your comfort zone, or were you just very comfortable doing it, or yeah. How did you feel?
This is going to be a boring answer because since from 6 years old I was performing on stage, so I still to this day, even though that I direct now more than acting and performing, I am most comfortable on stage. On stage is one of the few places where I feel like I have full control.
Interesting.
So that was a safety.
That's not a boring answer, by the way.
No,
that's
really?
A very good answer.
Okay, great.
That's a good answer. What was the most rewarding part of the competition besides winning?
Yeah. No. The most, coming from that school, Wexford, where we really were underdogs and there was no funding, and it was a huge group of people from all over the city, the most rewarding part was seeing my fellow classmates and my fellow members of our show choir really see and find success in the arts for the first time. I was fortunate enough to have been being a theater artist from a young age and finding success in that, but a number of students, it was their first time on stage in front of an audience, certainly one of that size, and watching them come to life and find comfort and success in the arts was like incredible.
So was there a specific moment when you felt this is why we do this?
Yeah. So Anne Merriam, who ran our department, always talked about wanting to start that program to keep kids out of the malls or from doing drugs or from partying all the time. You could go somewhere and you could sing as a community.
Right.
And that moment when I looked around and saw the light in my fellow students, my peers' eyes, I was like, that's what this is about. So that we can be somewhere as a community, making a piece of art together, as opposed to like going to a party or like hanging out in the mall all day. That was the reason for that entire program.
Cool. So back to the actual performing and everything. How did the choir respond to the feedback from the judges?
Yeah.
Was it taken positively, negatively,
Yeah, I think it was a mixture. I mean, of course...
you didn't necessarily agree with everything that the judges said, or...
I mean, I just remember being like shell-shocked by it all. It all moved so so quickly. But of course, I mean, like, again, when you have a bunch of young artists, half of them are divas, a bunch of them are going to be like, they don't know what they're talking about. And honestly, that's half the fun. But of course, there's a large portion of us, and of course, all the teachers were like, the judges are right, we can clean this, we can fix that, we can smooth this out a little bit.
So, performing in Show Choir Canada, was it about the performance, or was it about the competition, or a bit of both?
Yeah. This is again a Wexford thing, and I try to bring this into my rehearsal rooms. It's not about the performance, it's not about the competition, it's about building something as a team and as a community. So even more so than the performance itself, it was about the weeks leading up to it, where we were all in a small rehearsal room together, or on our theater space building the choreo. That's what it was about. It was about those hours spent together making a piece of art.
So what personal skills did you develop through show choir, if any?
Yeah. It really helped me hone singing in harmony. Whereas like I was being someone who like studied voice at a young age, I was happy to like belt over top of all my friends at all times. And like, of course that doesn't fly in show choir. So it really helped me like hone my tuning and as well as my ability to blend.
Right.
Yeah.
Cool. And how did performing help you grow as a person?
Oh man,
Is this
is something that I'm still to this day figuring out. When the few times a year I do still perform as a favor to friends. Man, what a hard question. I don't know. I mean, I think the confidence boost, even when you screw up and it's a mess and people are there to like catch you when you fall, it really helps solidify my confidence as a human being. And I think especially for young artists and young people in a world that is so fractured nowadays, I think that coming together and performing for a group of people and sharing this intimate moment between you and the audience, I can't think of anything better in a time that is so fraught with conflict.
It's the teamwork. It's everything.
Yeah.
The expression. Did being part of the choir impact your leadership or communication skills in any way?
Of course. Oh my gosh, yeah. I was very fortunate again, like our choir leader, Anne Mary, was such a brilliant leader and so passionate about the arts and about young people that it really, especially in my career now, I try to lead my rooms the way she led hers, with like love first and like artistry and like support for one another, and holding space is like such a major thing that I learned there, that really I've tried to take in my life, not only as an artist, but as just a human being.
Did you feel pressure as an artist, or were you just in your element?
No, of course. Look, it may be my element, but I care so much about it, as I think most young artists do, that there's so much pressure and you are terrified and anxious. But that's half the fun.
How do you deal with that, though?
Yeah.
Do you use it, or do you take drugs? What do you do?
Okay. Well, there's so much here. I think there is. I hate using the term "use it," and I hate saying that to actors because I don't think that's helpful. But I do think what I always say when I'm working with especially young artists, because I do teach at Wexford every once in a while, and of course a lot of young people. It is the first time.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. I'm very fortunate to have a good relationship with the program and be able to go back and mentor and work on their shows. But especially young artists who have not performed before, instead of use it, I like to say like acknowledge it and like know that it's there, but know that it's there for a reason, and allow it to propel you forward. The second you hit that stage, your fear will transfer to like adrenaline, and it will give you energy and it will help you push through the scene or push through the song. So I do use it, and I do say use it, but in a healthy way.
Right. Yeah. Interesting. Do you ever watch videos from your performances, or do you watch the documentary?
Yeah.
Do you have a copy of it hidden away somewhere?
No. I can't watch the documentary. It's horrifying to me, watching, of course. But what's funny, anytime I get together with my friends from show choir, at some point in the night, it's inevitable that someone will put it on. I competed 3 years. And all three are on YouTube somewhere. And it's inevitable that whenever we're together, at some point, that gets put on the TV.
Yeah. Do you still remember any of the choreography? I guess if you're watching the videos every time. Then
Yeah. Even then, I wasn't very good with choreography. So, I mean, watching it, I'm like, oh, I remember that. I could not do it for the life of me now, though.
So how often do you talk about, do you think about your show choir days, or the days in show choir?
Yeah, I think about it anytime I'm working with young artists, especially in the culture climate we're in now, where the arts are losing their funding and their support. I think about it anytime I'm in one of those rehearsal rooms, or anytime I'm working with a young actor, about how lucky and how grateful I am to have had that opportunity, and that I don't know, it's just, I'm so grateful.
Right.
And I just wish that young artists nowadays would still be getting those opportunities the way we were back then.
If you could go back and relive any moment, what would that be?
This is like so lame of me to say, but it would be that first moment, that first year when we won, because it was just, I remember sitting in the audience and everyone running on stage, and I just sat there because I couldn't believe it. And that really solidified for me why I was doing what I was doing, and that I was in the right place. And I'm looking around at the success of my peers and like the joy, and I don't know, that's magic.
Do you have any souvenirs or memorabilia from your time? Do you still have the awards stashed away in your top drawer? Or?
No, well, it is. It does. My resume does say National Show Choir Championships under the awards and achievement section, so that is a souvenir. But I also have one. I think it was our second year. I was one of the soloists for a Green Day song called Holiday, and they gave me this like weird Green Day punk rock T-shirt, and I stole it. So I still do have that. It doesn't fit me at all anymore, but I do still have it in my closet.
That's funny. Okay, so let's talk about some more important stuff about programs, Show Choir Canada. Why do you think they're important for young people?
Oh my gosh, I think Show Choir Canada, I mean the arts in general, quite frankly, especially performing arts, are the foundation for so much success in young people, especially in a world where confidence is everything, and confidence becomes survival in a lot of ways. And I think Show Choir Canada, or the performing arts, or the arts in general, are a hub for breeding young, brilliant minds and young, confident thinkers. And I think, especially Show Choir Canada specifically, in a literal way, gives voice to people,
right,
but also allows young artists to be heard and feel heard for the very first time.
What would you say to schools or any community thinking about starting a show choir?
Yeah.
What would you say to them?
I would say do it. I would say do it no matter what. It doesn't matter if you have no money. Our first year, we didn't have any money, and we won. And it changed a lot of people's lives. So please do it. My gosh, support your young people, your young artists. Even, I always say this, even if a young person competes in show choir or studies art of any form, even if they don't pursue that art professionally or even after that year, they have learned and they have grown and they've changed because of that arts experience. So please do it. Support your young artists.
How did participating in the arts make a difference in your school experience?
I was lucky that it was an art school I went to. So I went there with the intention of working and growing as an artist. I don't know, it's just, I'm so grateful to have had a lot of brilliant minds leading us and keeping a safe space for us. Those rehearsal rooms were the safest space I've ever been in. Even though you're doing incredibly vulnerable work, it's no matter when you fall on your face, your team is there to catch you.
Awesome. Do you feel show choir helped prepare you for life outside of school?
Oh my gosh, yeah. Yeah, the confidence that it gives you, even when you screw up, it's, I don't know, it just builds you into a stronger person. All of that, especially your successes and your failures, they all lead you down the path of your life and help you grow into a different person.
What's the biggest benefit you think show choir offers to students?
I think show choir offers community. More than anything else, for me at least, my experience, it's all about community. And I think that to have a safe space for everyone to come together and use their voice in a literal way, it's just like, that changes lives. And that's how we change the world.
Yeah, absolutely. What's the one thing you wish more people knew about show choir and the competition, Show Choir Canada?
Yeah. I wish our government specifically saw the value in these kind of things, especially for young people. We need to be investing in our future, and young people are the future. And the artists have always been the change makers. If you look at history, artists have always been leaders in a major way. And if we invest in our young people now, in our young artists, we have a better, safer, stronger world tomorrow.
So I'm assuming you would definitely encourage today's students to participate in something like the show choir. What would you say to them?
I'd say, frickin' get out there and do it. My gosh, make friends, find your voice. I don't know, it's so hard being a young person, especially nowadays, with like TikTok and everything, these 6-second clips.
Yeah.
And our brains are like melting because of that. And I'm like, get out there and like sing together, make art together, and just like love one another.
So if you could perform with your old choir again, what song would you choose?
Oh my gosh, maybe You've Got a Friend by James Taylor, which was my grandmother. Maybe it's just because like I've been thinking about my grandmother lately, and that was her favorite song. But I also think that's like, I think it really is the thesis of show choir, where it's like, where it is about community, and no matter what, you've got someone there.
Cool. So your school's choir was documented, as I mentioned, in Unsung.
Yeah.
Did that documentary impact your life? And if so, in what way?
Yeah. You know, my section of the documentary was really about having been a young queer person who pursued arts in a sports-oriented school, where I was like ruthlessly bullied for it. But that documentary really showed me the power of using your voice, especially when you're discussing things that are difficult. Mm-hmm. For years, I mean, even to this day, I have people come up to me, which is maybe a good thing. Maybe I haven't aged that much. But people will come up to me and be like, "Oh, are you Dean from that documentary? And thank you for sharing your story." Mm-hmm. I still get messages on Facebook or on Instagram from people who have seen it for the first time and are so moved by it. Mm. So that documentary really, again, solidified for me that I was doing the right thing in pursuing the arts, and that my voice was valuable, and discussing the difficulties of my life can help change or propel someone forward and to help them continue their life.
So if you could sum up your experience performing in a show choir, specifically competing in Show Choir Canada, in one word, what word would that be?
Okay, this is like so boring because I've said it 150 times, but like teamwork or community. Maybe that's a better answer.
Yeah.
I've said that less.
Community. Interesting. Yeah. Well, that's awesome, Dean. Thank you for spending the time. Ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to the end of our show. I'd like to thank you, Dean, for your time and for sharing. I'd like to thank everyone out there for watching. If you enjoyed the show and would like to see more content, please like and hit the subscribe button and share. And if you have any ideas for more content, please put them in the comments below. Thank you again, and from me and Dean, farewell.
Thank you.